The dynamic warm-up is the last piece of the puzzle when it comes to preparing your body for the workout. The warm-up's going to do a couple things. It's going to stretch and open up certain areas of your body, and it's going to activate certain areas of your body. So we're going to do a few things starting out on the ground, and then Allie's going to transition to all fours, which is what we call quadruped, and she's finally going to end with some bigger movement standing up. So Allie's going to come help me out a little bit. So we're going to start out super simple with a pull your knee to your chest. So she's going to lie on her back, legs extended, and pull one knee to her chest. She's going to give it a gentle tug, hold it there for about a second, and then release and switch. When you're doing this, it's really important not to pull too hard, not to twerk too far to one side or the other, and to let your other leg stay glued to the ground. Next is called an active straight leg raise. So Allie's going to start with her hands in the middle of her back. This is not the small of your back by your tailbone, but the middle of your back. She's going to bring her feet together, flex her toes back towards her, and lightly brace her core. She's going to bring one leg up at a time with the knee totally locked. Good. Bring it back down. Just give me a couple reps, Allie. So let's actually do all on one side and then all on the other. Good. And when you're going to stop, when one of three things happens. You either feel pressure on your hands from your low back, your hamstring starts to catch, or the other leg comes off the ground. This means you're no longer getting the motion from your hip and your hamstring, but you're starting to get it through your back or elsewhere. So that's the active straight leg raise. And next, Allie's going to transition to a glute bridge. So she's going to bend her knees. Feet will be about shoulder width apart, and there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can keep feet closer together, have them shoulder width apart. Some people even have their feet touching. For simplicity's sake, she's going to be about shoulder to hip width apart. She's going to lightly brace her core and pull her ribs down, and she's going to come up and squeeze her butt at the top. Good. And back down. And you can just hold it for a second or two. Now this exercise, it's really important to squeeze your glutes as hard as you can. You can look like you're doing it correctly, but unless you're squeezing, you're not getting everything out of it. Give me one more rep, Allie. Perfect. And next we're going to do a clamshell. So Allie's going to roll to her side and get in somewhat of a fetal position. She's going to take her top hip and roll it over slightly so that we block her from getting any movement there. She's going to drive her feet together and open her knees. You'll see she's not really getting a lot of movement, and that's fine. Good. You can close. Good. So just give me a few reps there, Allie. So she's driving her feet together and she's opening her knees. She's initiating the movement with her glute, and she's not twisting and getting that motion through her spine. It's a great glute activation exercise. So that's a clamshell. Next, Allie's going to flip over onto her stomach. You're going to do a dynamic Blackburn, Allie. She's going to start with her hands in the middle of her back. Okay, so hands just right there and elbows on the ground. She's going to pull her shoulder blades back and down, and she's going to bring her arms around. So bring them around. Good. She's going to end with her thumbs up at the top, and she's pulling through her low and mid trap. She's going to reverse the motion, come back around, put her hands in the middle of her back, and then let her elbows go again. So show that one more time, Allie. So pull your shoulder blades back and down, bring the arms around, end with your thumbs up at the top. You should be feeling a pull right here. Then come back around. Perfect. Thumbs in the middle of your back, and then arms back down. And that's called a dynamic Blackburn. Next, we're going to put Allie in quadruped, so she's on all fours. And we're going to do fire hydrants. So we want to make sure that she has a nice neutral spine. If you don't have good core stability, you're going to have a tendency to either sag in the middle or to round your back too much in the middle. So we want to try to find a nice neutral spine here for Allie. She's going to do fire hydrants where she just lifts her leg to the side. Good. Yep, and give me a few reps. Perfect. And what's really important not to do is to twist your low back too much and fling that knee up there. So you want to keep this nice and stable. Good. Perfect. Just bring that knee up to the side. After fire hydrants, Allie's going to show hip circles. So hip circles, we kind of go, counterclockwise or clockwise. You can get about 8 to 10 in one direction and 8 to 10 in the other. Again, we're trying to open up the hip and activate the glute, and you don't want the pelvis to be shifting all over the place, and you don't want to be sagging through your core. So she's just going to show us both directions. It's totally normal for one direction to feel a little wonky and feel like you're a little bit off. So after the hip circles, Allie's going to transition to a bird dog. Now bird dog is opposite arm, opposite leg. A lot of people try to do same side. It's really impressive if you can get it, but that's not what we're going for here. So you can see Allie's leg is up a little bit high. I'm going to bring her leg down a little bit and kind of make her spine a little bit more neutral, and she's going to alternate. So So other arm, other leg. So you don't really want the foot to go any higher than the glute because that's going to cause your back to hyperextend. Perfect, Allie. Just hold it for about a second and switch. Good. Kind of get a little bit more neutral here. Good. Give me a couple more on each side. Bird dog is a great trunk stability exercise. Perfect. So after bird dog, she's going to transition to what we call quadruped extension rotation. It sounds really fancy, but quadruped's on all fours. Her hand's going to go behind her ear. And this is really important to keep this part of her trunk locked down. We're trying to open up the upper back and the chest. So she's going to take that elbow kind of towards her opposite knee. And then she's going to open back up the other direction and kind of look at the ceiling, look towards that elbow. Good. Give me a few more, Allie. It's really important not to side crunch or to hyperextend through your spine. You want to stay locked down through here and just move through your upper back. Great. Next, Allie's going to transition to a Spider-Man. So she's just going to take that foot. Let's do your right foot, Allie. Kick it up by your hand. Good. And then bring your back knee back a little bit. So she's just going to rock forward and try to open up this hip. A lot of people will twist around and kind of go around where they're tight instead of pushing into tightness. She wants to keep her ribs down and her head neutral. If you feel comfortable with this, you can open up towards the inside. So take your right arm and open up. And again, being in this position, you don't want to be moving as much through here and you want to be moving more through here, and she can come back down. Good. Let's release the tension a little bit and then rock back into it and then open up again. So that would be one repetition. That's a Spider-Man with a reach. You don't have to do the reach portion of it, but if you feel comfortable, it's great for opening up your upper back. Good, Allie. And next is going to be an inchworm. So you can start out in a push-up position. An inchworm, she's going to walk her hands back to her feet. And you can do this a couple ways. You can walk your hands back to your feet and back out. If you don't have a lot of room, we're going to stay stationary with this one. You're just going to walk your hands back to your feet. And if you want to actually move with this, you can walk your hands out and then walk your feet up to your hands. Good. Perfect. Next, we're going to move to a prisoner squat. Good. So we can start out. Yep. Hands behind your head, feet about hip to shoulder width apart. You're going to lightly brace your core and you're going to sit back into your hips. You want to try to maintain a nice neutral spine, eyes looking forward. Good. Knees slightly out and drop back between your hips. Good. Allie, you want to turn this way? We'll show them the side view. So we want to try to keep the ribs down in this position, core lightly braced, and go. Good. Spine as neutral as you can. Perfect. And next, and you can stay in this position, we're going to show you a squat to stand. So Allie's going to bend over, grab her toes, and drop her hips down right between her knees. Perfect. And then she's just going to reverse the motion and do it again. Great. Give me one more, Allie. And this is a squat to stand. Perfect. Lastly, she's going to do a broomstick RDL, or broomstick Romanian deadlift. So she's going to stand, feet again about hip width apart. The broomstick's going to go right in front of her legs. She's going to think about maintaining her rib cage down and pushing her hips back towards me. We want a nice neutral head and spine. She's going to stop when her hamstrings catch, and then she's going to reverse the motion and come back up and squeeze her butt at the top. So again, push back, nice neutral spine, come up, squeeze her glutes at the top. It's really important here. You want to make sure that you finish with the glutes instead of the low back. A lot of times people will come up from here and hyperextend at the top. You really want to finish with the glutes instead of pushing through the spine. That's a broomstick RDL. So there you have it, guys. There's your dynamic warm-up.